Dio, this is all you. If you want to just say hello and introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Thomas Oladayo. Thank you for showing up today. I know it's a really weird time for everyone right now, me included. So just thank you for taking the time out to be here. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out here. I know I have at least 12 of my moms here right now. So thank you for showing up. And thank you, Ray and Bo, for putting this together. It's always a pleasure coming back to especially play. So yeah, it's just always fun to be back with the family. This is all the family I've ever known. So thank you for coming out.
So I'm gonna get this presentation going. We'll put some questions together for Dio, and then again, if you have any questions, please feel free to write some in the chat box. Can you describe what it was like growing up in Nigeria?
Growing up in Nigeria was fun. Like mostly, especially having 5 siblings, knowing one of them my nephew and 4 older siblings. So growing up in a large family, there's always a lot to do with family, and then friends is also a plus. So playing with my friends and even sometimes my brother was great. It was fun and enjoyable, but at the same time it was challenging because most of the people I normally played with were like older than me and stuff. So it was also kind of hard because my parents were never around. They were mostly going to work, and I'm always stuck with my older siblings. So there's always the hierarchy of like them being older than me and all that. So I feel like being introduced to that early helped me get used to authority a little bit. Giving me like a good baseline on how to deal with authority and how to do what I like to do while respecting authority and like living by their rule. So as far as playing goes, I've always played with friends just for fun. Not until I was 11 before I started playing on a club team. So I played on a club team just because one of my friends from school wants to play on it on Saturdays. So it's just a pastime for me to get out of the house and also play with my friends. So I started without knowing where I wanted to go from there. I didn't think it was that big of a deal just playing with that team. But after my first practice with that team, I knew, yeah, this is what I want to do, and I want to keep doing this for as long as possible. So it was a no-brainer that I chose to leave where my comfort zone with my family back in Nigeria to come pursue what I want to do. So yeah, I think Nigeria gave me like the best way to go around it.
What was this picture about, if you remember it?
So this picture was taken in 2013 or 2014, I believe. So this picture is, you see in the back, there's in the Manchester United jersey, that's Matthew Kokoska, is the coach at Kiski here in the US, is in Massachusetts. So this team was the last group that was traveling. This is my set. So you see there's Raji there, there's me. At the top, on my left, to the top there is Achar, who plays for Toronto FC now. So this is the group that traveled with me. It was season 5 of the program. So this was the last picture we took together, knowing that everyone were going to go their way after the.
Where were you in Nigeria in comparison to like the capital and like where were you?
Lagos. This is Lagos. So this is the national stadium in Lagos, and this place right here is about 15 minutes from where I live, and it's a day drive from the capital, which is Abuja, which is central of the country. Relative to like bigger city than where we are right now, Abuja is the closest one, which is the capital. So this is where they brought everyone else from the country to come congregate at Lagos State, because
right.
that's the epicenter of like soccer in the country. Even though the national teams and all that, they train in Abuja.
Right. Okay. So I know we discussed this. How and when did you find your way to the master's school in the United States?
From that picture, that was, I believe, a couple of days before that picture was taken was the first time I met Kevin Verson, who is the athletic director at Masters when I came in. So the program I played on, they connect students due to the academics and soccer that connects them with schools in the U.S. So Mr. Verson was my guy because he saw me play, and then later on I took the SATs, took the PSAT as well. So it was about matching academic to athletic abilities. So that was how I got in touch with Mr. Verson. And then after that year, the next year where I was supposed to travel, I met Rich Franklin, Ray's son. In case any of you ever met him, he's a great guy. He came in. The first thing I saw him, funny story, I didn't know who he was. I had no idea who he was. I was like, where's the guy that saw me last year and why is he not here? And then I saw this guy and he literally came up behind me and like shoved me like he knew who I was. And from there, I just never stopped loving him from there. And he's just the fun. He just stays with me. It was one of the only things that I could remember from like the first time I met him. I was just so confused why I would just shove me, like not even know my name, right? And that didn't really change much when I came to the US, because then I met Ray and like I saw the kind of like the same thing. And I was like, I guess apples don't fall far from the tree, right? So when I met Ray, it was the same thing, the same kind of energy from like the get-go. So it was great coming into the US and then playing at Masters with Rich as the coach. With the first experience I had with him, I knew it was gonna be a bond that would take a lot to break. So I was coming into Masters really ready, knowing what I want to do, like enjoying like the company of my coach, not just as a coach, but as a person that I could talk to and like let him know what I'm thinking in my own head apart from soccer. So he was that guy for me. He was disciplined. He knows when to have fun with the kids. He knows when to be serious. It was just all around like the package, like the coach, the older brother, the father, like the whole package of what you needed to develop. So I was grateful to have him as my coach at Masters. And also after my first season, winning the FA Cup for the first time with Masters, knowing that I'm going to play for Eastern and play under him still, I couldn't ask for anything better. So from there, I like went from playing at Masters with Rich to also playing with him with my club team.
And Raji was involved because he came with you, wasn't he?
Yes, Raji was not part of the whole program to start with. This is how crazy it is. So I'm going to say this, but everyone should play like it's their last time they're going to play. Every time you step out to play, because Raji did not start the whole program with us, right? Raji, when
the program in Nigeria. You were talking about the program in Nigeria.
No, he did not.
Right.
Once we got to a certain point that we started playing against other teams, the group that the program put together, when we started playing with the other team, Raji's team was one of the teams we played against. Okay. Raji made the program because the coaches saw him play for the other team and questioned why he's not one of us. Right. That was how they brought him into the program, and he's in the US today. He's right now in New Orleans with his friends, quarantined together. So it was a great guy just right from the start. So like you see in the picture, me and Raji were like the youngest one in the group. We're 2 years apart also, but we're still the youngest two in the group. So it was just a bond from the beginning. So like coming into the US, we traveled together 2 days, traveling from Nigeria to the US, from Nigeria to Paris, from Paris to Abu Dhabi, and then to the US. So it was just me and him traveling together. So I got to know him a lot more than the 3 months before in those 2 days traveling together to the US.
And you guys at this point were in 7th, 8th grade, taking the SAT, getting ready for this transfer, and then finally, sort of in the beginning in 9th grade, you came over.
Yes, I started 9th grade and Roger started in 10th grade because it was older. So we played 3 seasons together at Masters before he graduated.
Right. And then we had here your host parents, right? Because that became a big part of this.
Yeah, that's one part that I can never thank them enough, because I've had the same host family since my freshman year of high school. So now I'm going to be a junior in college next year, and they've been there every step of the way, just giving me a place to be it when I'm on break, coming in for graduation. They were my parents for graduation and all that milestone. They were able to go through those with me. So I can't thank them enough. So it wasn't the easiest choice to pick a host family, but I knew I had to pick a host family, and whatever family I end up in is going to be great. So being the only freshman on the varsity team with Yost Olan and Diego we're the only freshmen on the team, on the varsity team. So I had to pick either one of those two. So it was funny because my first Thanksgiving, a week before that, we're trying to figure out where I'm going to be for Thanksgiving. And I remember Diego and Yost having to do like a competition, maybe like a rock, paper, scissors or something to figure out who I'm going to go with first. And then we go back and forth. So I ended up with Yost, and we haven't looked back since then.
That's a very fortunate rock, paper, scissors. That's a great story. We had here, what would you say to an Eastern FC player? Because we have about 60 of them, on the call about the master school. What would you say to them about the master school?
I think the biggest thing is that the master school has come a long way from my freshman year, and the master school is going towards something big with like athletics and arts. And with the Fonseca Center, I think it's a great facility. And if you go to the master school, or even if you just use the turf field, if you don't make anything out of it, I think that's your fault. And it's not me being aggressive or anything. It's just the fact of it. Like, the facility is there for you. Everything you need. There's a track right on the field. You just have to bring yourself 100% every time you show up. And the master school is there for you to help. The teachers are great. The teachers are going to meet with you one-on-one. You're going to see them on campus. You get to talk to them, even when it has nothing to do with the class itself. They're just great people overall that you can talk to. So I think the master school is going to give you the best experience. You just gotta make the best out of it. You're going to experience what you put in. Like, what you put in is what you're going to get out, though.
How did you connect with Eastern? What was that experience like?
For me, I didn't know I had to play on a club team. I thought I was coming to play on the school team and just play there all year round. But then once the soccer season ended, I talked to Rich, and Rich was like, "Oh, so this team, this is where you're gonna be. You're gonna play with me this winter. We're gonna play indoors, and then in the spring you're gonna play with us outside." And I was like, "Sure." I wasn't sure what I was doing, but I knew I wanted to play with Rich because it was my coach. It was just it was like the best choice I could pick. So from there, I also asked him, I was like, "So where am I going to be going to?" So he said, "You don't have to go anywhere. All you have to do is roll out of bed and come to training, because we practice at Masters every time." So for me, it was just the best choice. It was right there. I had my support system right there as well. So it was a great experience to choose Eastern because, well, here I am again with Eastern, the same team I chose 6 years ago. So I just thought I was like the best choice I could have made of a team to play for after Masters.
That's great, Dio. That's really great. What were the years like? Because you ended up playing, I think, four full years, right, at Eastern.
Yes. For me, I never played with my age group, so it was a lot of getting kicked and getting pushed around every now and then. So that was great. That was what I wanted. That was what I've always been used to. Someone like to push me that's been better than me. Imagine my first year, I played under Rich and then I practiced with Rich, and then I played with Ray's Lancer team, which is, like, if you guys know, is playing as a sub for Stevie, playing as a sub for Kochi and Chavo. It was great. It was a great group of guys that I still look up to that I played with. Just learning from those guys, being on the bench, watching them my first year, and then just being with that group for my 4 years and like growing into the person that I am to be able to lead my own team in my own footstep and even go a little farther. And so that was a great first year for me. My second year I played with Ray's Lancer team as a sub also while I was playing for James. I think that was my first time going to nationals, winning the regional tournament also for the first time. So I think that was great. We won the Jefferson Cup as well. So my second year was arguably one of my best year because not only was I getting the same development I got from the beginning from the first year, I was also being able to show what I'm learning by playing with my own team. So I think that was a great experience. For my second year, going to nationals was great. It was the first time. The atmosphere was great, and finishing third wasn't what we planned for, but we knew if we're gonna be a team that comes back every year, we needed to take that as a loss and use that to come back the next year and be a better team. So, which brings us to my third year. My third year, we won regionals again. My third year was the year we went to state quarterfinals. So all those losses, there were times where I think about it like, wow, we always losing. I'm thinking, what am I doing wrong? What is the team doing wrong? But I was asking myself the wrong question. Like the right question was, how am I going to use that loss, losing in the league and losing in the quarterfinal? How am I going to take that loss and use it to become a better team? So that was what I was asking myself later on, and it worked out well because we made it to nationals, but unfortunately I wasn't able to go because I haven't been home in 3 years by then. So for me, I had to go home to see my family after 3 years, and as God will have it, I wasn't able to come back. I wasn't able to come back to go to nationals. For me, it was devastating. I was home just a couple of days where I couldn't eat because I was just thinking about what I could be doing and how I'm letting my team down. So like when I finally came back and I started practicing with the team, it felt like I wasn't giving myself, I wasn't dedicated to the team at all. That's how it felt for me. I felt like I let my team down. But my last year, which is 2018, was I told myself I'm not coming back home if I don't win the national tournament this time. Because that's the 3 times in a year I was just like, I'm just not coming back. Like 3 times, I would not come back if I don't win that. So for me, it was I told Oliver Cleveland, I told him, I'm like, if we don't win this thing, I'm never gonna play with you guys again. You're not gonna see me. It's over. Like I'm willing to die here until I win that thing. So for me, it was a dream come true winning that the third year, knowing that I wasn't there for my team the year before, and winning it now, it just had to happen. It just had to happen for me. So we had a great tournament. We didn't have the most skillful team, but we had the best team in the sense that we were all willing to play our hearts out for each other. We're all willing to play for the badge. So for us, it was life. Soccer should not be life or death, but it was life or death for us at that point, because that's our third year coming to the nationals. And it was funny because it was a step forward every single time we showed up to nationals, because my first year we finished third. The second year the team went, we lost in the finals, and then the third year we won it. So it's just a big lesson to like not giving up and always showing up when you have the opportunity, because not everyone is gonna have the opportunity to go back to nationals 3 times in a row. I don't think any team has done that before us. So like going back to nationals 3 times in a row was just a dream come true, and just winning it was just the icing on the cake. So I think my last year, just winning the nationals, the flight back was my best memory so far, because just sitting at the airport waiting for our flights and like people coming up and like asking questions, and like we get to like talk to people, take pictures with like random people that just wanted to take pictures in the airport. So it was a great experience, just knowing that we're finally doing it and like bringing the cup back home.
I'm gonna play these, and we can't say it a thank you enough, Dio. I'm gonna click out of here. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. I'm going to click out of here, get back on the presentation. Yeah, and there's a bunch of questions in the chat.
Yeah.
I think your host parents blew it up, which is good.
Yeah.
But, through some of these. So, okay, let's see. Favorite memory at Eastern, I think you talked about that, right?
Yeah.
Nationals.
Yeah, going back 3 years is great.
How did you decide between D1, D2, D3? You mentioned that, but you can definitely bring that up again.
Yeah. For me, I was for my sophomore year and junior year, I was really stubborn. I was stubborn with the fact that I wanted to play D1. I wanted to play the best division possible so I could get better and continue to be better. The fireplace, and I'm pretty sure that was the night before the finals. So we were just sitting by the fireplace. Ray was Bobby's son, as always. So it was just after dinner, us talking about what we want from each other the next day, just trying to get everyone on the same page. And just we didn't really know much about the team we're about to play, but we knew that if we're gonna beat them, and with everything that we've read and saw about them, if we're gonna beat them, we're gonna have to play together as a team. So this was necessary. I feel like this, as the last thing we talked about before everyone went to bed and get ready for the next day, I thought it was important that we did this, just so we could all be on the same page going into the next day, knowing that for me, for Oliver, for Jose, for Ramel, for everyone on that team. That time we knew for us, that was the last year that we have the chance to do that. And we're going into college. We're not going to have the opportunity to go to nationals with the team again. So for us, it was everything. So everyone had to come together. Everyone had to come together that last night.
That's well said. You said you hadn't seen this till we sent it to you just recently, but this was, you can describe it, what this was. Did that come out? Could you see that? You can see that, right?
Yeah, I did. I haven't seen that angle before. I saw a different. I have a different angle for myself. But that video was in the final when I believe we were 1-1. No, I believe we were 2-1 down in that game. That was the equalizing goal. I believe we had like 15 minutes left in the game. We had
no time.
We have 15 minutes left in the game. For me, I was. If you could hear the video, you could hear Oliver screaming to pass the ball. But for me, I was like, I have to do this. Like, this is in my head. I was like, I was so like not willing to take any chance that for me, right there, you see, like I was tripped out. I'm pretty sure my shin was swollen after a tackle on that same spot. I didn't pay attention to it until the next day because it didn't matter. So for me, right there, it was just show like for me in my head, all I was thinking was, well, you let the team down last year. You're gonna do that again. Like you didn't show up last year. You're gonna do that again right now. So like for me, it was just I had to do it. So like being able to score an equalizer in the final for the team to like get back into the game was great. I had to slow down going to Bo so I don't knock him in the face again like I did before. So like one of our first games, we played against this team that the team was supposed to be the best team in our 4-man group. Right. So the team was supposed to be the best team. So we're playing them the first time and I scored and literally I just lost it. I literally just started running towards the bench and the first person that ran towards me was Coach Ease. You must have sprinted like 10 yards across from where we're all sitting down just to come give me a hug right there. So like running towards him was full speed. I didn't see him, so I literally just bumped into him with my shoulder. And before you know it, he had a black eye. And his mother gave me a nickname. She called me the Brick. So yeah, she called me the Brick that same day.
So this was the other angle, right, of that goal that actually Mrs. Carbone, who worked there at Master School, with us and took.
Yeah, she was the manager. If you can hear that was Oliver screaming again. The whole scream. He must have said that like 4 times, but I did not hear him right there. I heard him when I was watching the video.
And then we have this. It's sideways, but it'll change itself. This was you can describe it, Daya.
I think this was our last. This was at Ray's house. We're having like a get together for the group after nationals, just to say goodbye and like know where everyone is going for college and just have a last time together to just relax, play games. And
that was at Miss Calbone's house.
That was Miss.
Oh, that's right.
Oh yeah, that was Miss Calbone's house.
I'll play it here.
I was going with Father Ray.
You, my son.
It's really not like there's no way to like actually say that's better than just saying thank you to you and your family, because I don't think I've done anything in the past 4 years that includes soccer that has not included you or someone from your family. Like literally 4 years ago, Reach came to Nigeria. That was how I met him. That was how I got here. So now you took on me for the past 4 years. I don't think that would be what I am today talking to you guys. If it wasn't for you and your family, and I just wish my family could like say thank you enough, because they all hear about everything you guys do for you. I could talk all day about like what you did for everyone here. That's done something for you, but I just want to say thank you to everyone that's present here. This is just us.
like if you guys are not there, we wouldn't be able to go there in the first place and be able to play. It's rare that you get a second chance, but to pull something together in like 5 days or like 4 days, that's extraordinary. And I just can't thank you guys enough.
So we've got a couple of questions here, Dio, which I think this was great. So to give an example to the young students, right, that we have on the webinar right now, and for the families at Eastern, getting to where you've gotten to has not been easy, and it does require a certain level of commitment to your craft. So can you describe when you were in high school at Masters, what was like a typical day? What did you have to do?
Being a Masters, you kind of have a lot of control over yourself. So you need to be disciplined to like be able to do everything that you need to do. For me, for my daily routine, I make sure I have all my classes mostly in the morning. So for me, I had my classes starting from 8. I had to be up at 8 for morning meeting or sometimes classes. So for me, I had to be.
You were living on campus.
I was a boarder, so I had control of most of like my timing. I had to figure out my time management myself. There's no parent to wake you up in the morning or tell you to go to bed. So you get to choose all that by yourself. So you have to discipline yourself to go around it. So for me, my typical day is like waking up at 8, going to classes. I made sure my classes I'm done by 1:30 at most. I'm gonna be in my room just getting ready for practice. Or sometimes the field was behind my dorm, so sometimes I'm there a lot earlier than everyone just because I had the break. I try to go help and get the balls and the waters up to the field just to make it easier on like the whole team. So for me, it was just me going to soccer and me coming back. And sometimes it got to a point where for me, like the busiest time was in the winter where I'm not playing soccer during the day, but I'm practicing. I'm doing track, and then from track I'm going from track to soccer practice indoors, and then from indoor practice I'm coming back to the dorm at 10. And at 10 normally like people think, oh, you go to bed and like get ready for the next day. No, I had to start doing homework to get ready for the next day. So I think you need to time yourself. There are multiple times you do homework. I learned to do homework in the car ride since my sophomore year of high school. Like I would do homework while I'm going to games. I think the longest ride, my first long ride was going to Massapequa and like going to a tournament there. And knowing that I'm going to be there all day, I had to take my homework with me and like do homework while I was waiting for the game to start. So I feel like as far as routine goes, routine changes, but your mentality towards routine should not change in the sense that you know what you need to do and when you need to do it. And I think the biggest thing is kind of being disciplined enough to push yourself to like do it when you need to do it and not expect anyone to tell you, because no one is going to tell you that. You need to figure that out yourself. I think that helped me learn a lot about being independent in general, being able to control myself and my time and just moving around. Yeah,
that's really, really well said, Dio. Very well said. Can you describe for our players what your experience was getting recruited at Gettysburg?
I think it was really hard in the sense that I didn't really know how the process of getting recruited worked, and being one of the first few people at Masters that were getting recruited to play college soccer, it was that much harder because I had to take initiative for a lot of things that were more specific. Soccer, because the school is great with like getting you into college with education and all that, but for me I had to put a little extra with my coaches to get recruited to play in college. So for me, I had to go. In my head I was like, this is where I want to be. I want to play at this division college, and that's what I want to do. So for me, like getting recruited by Gettysburg, at first I had to think hard to myself but for me at that point, that was the best I could do, because like the biggest thing for me that I had to learn at that point was I had to be I could not be flexible with my goals, but I had to be flexible with the methods and like the way I get to my goal. So for me, part of that flexibility was going to Gettysburg, where I know I was needed. I was highly sought after by Gettysburg. So like for me, it was just the best choice. And even going there, my first practice was the speed was just way higher. The speed was there. I wasn't acclimated to the speed yet. said. So for me, getting recruited by Gettysburg was a great thing, because that was my period of development and my period of getting used to the speed. Because I don't care how good, knowing that I wasn't gonna go back to the locker room and go cry about it or anything. I was gonna stay after practice. I was gonna talk to the coach, figure out what I'm doing wrong, figure out how to get back out there as myself, because I know I could do better. But for me, at first, it was just not enough. So I think the 2 years at Gettysburg, it's just all about improving, getting used to college soccer in general, like listening to my coaches and learning from them, like on the field, on the board. When I decided I was gonna go to my coach once a week to just go to his office and talk about soccer on the board, just literally going over plays and stuff on the board. So I did that all through my first year. So for me, it was tough at the beginning, but I wasn't gonna give up. So I just kept going, taking it day by day. I go to the field on the weekends alone most of the time, because that's when I'm able to work on what I want to work on. It's great to always have someone there, but sometimes you need to find that time for yourself to play alone. So for me, that was what helped me my 2 years at Gettysburg, to be able to get the opportunity to get recruited away from Gettysburg after 2 years.
Right. And we talked about, your daily life and your daily routine in college, how it changed a little bit different from your high school. Could you maybe talk about that a little bit?
Routine at college is a lot different. But for me, coming from the master school where I was basically given the tool to be able to deal in college, it wasn't as hard. I had friends who just were not able to handle it, because it wasn't what they thought it was going to be. They thought they were going to have freedom to do whatever they want. And sure, yes, there's always something to distract you from what you should be doing. But like I said earlier, it's just about being disciplined. You have to discipline yourself. Of course, there's a lot of parties going around. Of course, there's a lot of just people hanging out doing nothing and absolutely not doing what they're supposed to be doing as far as like playing goes, as far as homework and stuff goes, like staying up till like 5 a.m. in the morning, because you can do that, because you can pick your classes to be in the afternoon, so you could sleep at 5, wake up at 2, and for me, at school, I can't really do that, because I have to have my classes in the morning. I have 8:30. I make sure I have 8:30 classes, which is the earliest classes. I make sure I had 8:30 classes every time, because that way I could finish my work and get on the field an hour before everyone shows up for practice. So for me, it was a lot about timing yourself. And for me, waking up, I already know this is what I'm going to be doing at this hour. Hour to hour, I knew what I was supposed to be doing and what I want to be doing. I'm not saying you need to always be serious, always going to do stuff every time. For me, I had to balance being able to have a social life and have friends, and also not losing sight of what I want to do. Even though at the end of the day, for me personally, having the social life and the good friends, the good people that I've met here made it hard for me to want to leave. But at the same time, I knew at the back of my head at the beginning that was the plan. That was how we're going to go. So for me, it was hard to tell those people that I was leaving, but at the same time, it was the best scenario, because it was all planned, and they understand that. They support you because they see all the work you put in. Trust me, if you think no one is watching, think again, because someone is always watching. And one thing that I always remember, that always plays in my head, was my freshman year at Masters. Rich said at practice, he called me aside. He said to me, attitude is who you are when no one is watching. But the key to that for me is not the fact that when no one is watching, it's the fact that attitude is just shows whether you like it or not. And even when you think no one is watching, someone is always watching. For me, I'm so bummed that Miss Dr. from Stanford is not here right now, because she's the head of school right now at Masters. I cannot describe how many times I've been on the field on my own. The next day, seeing her in the hallway, and she was telling me, "Oh, I saw you playing last night." I was like, "It was dark. How did you know it was me?" So things like that, someone is always watching. So I think finding a routine is about being disciplined. You have to discipline yourself 100%. and knowing what you want and knowing how to get there. And you don't really just go from point A to point B. You have to work to it every day in, day out. Your routine matters.
That's well said, Dio. Really well said. Now you have a new endeavor on your hands. In a couple of days, you're going to be, coming over to Westchester, but then you'll be moving out to Santa Clara in California. What are your goals for when you arrive over there?
My goal is just to keep developing, to keep playing at the highest level that I can, keep developing so I can give myself the best chance to achieving my goal, just to play pro someday. But for me, it was just about development right now. Going to Santa Clara is just, I'm going to be able to once again start playing all year round. So I'm able to practice with the team during the season, off season, and play with a great group of guys in a great area where everyone play pretty much all year round. So for me, my biggest goal is to get the best development I can and go in there and prove myself. And every time I play, I always have to think about my family. I also have to go back and be like, this is where I'm coming from and this is who I'm playing for. And that has the motivation to try to get better every day and move forward and be like the better player, the better person every time I step on the field. So that's the goal of Santa Clara, to continue the whole development that I started from my first year at Masters, my first season at Eastern FC, and since I've been here at Gettysburg. It's just about getting better and becoming the better player, becoming a better person, a better son to my parents, a better friend to my friends, just in general, just becoming a better person in general.
What about off the field, right? Because you talked about how much time you're spending studying and not being able to go to parties and having focus, school, personal life, and then also the game. When you're at Santa Clara, what were you studying again? I forgot. I don't think I asked you that.
I'm a political science major right now, but I'm going to add another major to that. So I'm going to double major in poli-sci and international relations. Because for me, if I'm not playing soccer, I want to be able to be doing something transnational, ambassador, or just liaison between two countries. That's my dream job, pretty much. So for me, poli-sci is just something that I made up my mind to do since my junior year of high school. I had Brandon Barrios, which is who's also a coach at Eastern right now. I had him as a teacher my junior year for my international relations class, and from then I knew this was something that I was interested in. So when I'm not playing, I'm doing research on the Syrian war, the Palestinian-Israeli conflict. I'm doing research about stuff like that every time I'm not playing, and when I'm off the field, just resting on my own. So.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure people heard that because we talked about that, and it's actually extremely interesting and very good that you're focused on it. As we finish up here, last recommendations maybe for players who want to follow, in your footsteps. What would you say to them?
I think the biggest thing that I've always said is just you need to come out ready to become better. Leave the field better than you walked onto it. Leave your classroom better than you walked into it. Whatever you're doing, just know it's about just getting better every time, getting better in your mind, mentally, physically, just knowing that every time you step onto the field or step into the class, you're going to come out the other way being better. So I think that's the biggest piece of advice I could give is just know yourself, know that you need to be disciplined, and know that you need to get better. Because when you're not working, guess what? Everyone else is working. And when that time comes, when you go against that person that's working when you're not, you're going to lose to that person because the person was working when you were not. So just having that in mind I feel terrible when I go through a day without having done anything to get better, because for me, I'm well, I didn't do anything today. And I could think about 5 other people that did something today. And when I go against those people, I know I'm going to lose because they're doing more than I'm doing. So just knowing that you got to go out, do more than the other person, it's just the best way to live, the best way to get better, and just be above your peers. And just also the biggest thing also you need to humble yourself a lot, because while there's a lot going on, while you're there getting better, trying to be the best, there are people that look up to you. So you need to humble yourself. You need to be able to talk to that person that was younger, that needed your help after practice. Because for me, that was what I did. That was what I wanted. I wanted someone that was older than me, that was better than me, to be able to humble themselves and talk to me and like show me something after practice, after class, and all that stuff. So I needed that person. So that's why it's fun for me to come back to do this, because I got all those older guys like Stevie, Chavo that I still talk to, that they come back and like they tell me things that I need to get better with. So I think just seeking people to help and being ready to help others is just probably one of the biggest thing I could tell anyone right now.
Well, listen, I appreciate this, and I know the club appreciates this, and I know everyone, all 60, 70 people who signed on today on Mother's Day appreciate this, and just from us, from the club, it's a massive thank you. We got some questions to go over, but this is just a massive thank you, and you always have a family here at Eastern.
So for me, I was stubborn with that, and no one else was there to like listen to all this more than Ray was, because I was always going to him like, oh, where are the coaches that around here, the D1 coaches that you could talk to, that I could go watch play. And I was set on playing D1, but for me, the biggest thing for me was learning to be flexible with my approach to things. Like, even though I wasn't gonna be flexible with the goal, but I knew at that point, coming from where I'm coming from as a team where we're just getting better every day. So coming from a background like that, for me, I had to start somewhere, because I know my name wasn't always out there for everyone to know. So like for me, I had to make a name for myself, and the best way for me to do that was making the decision to go D3 and start there. So that was, for me, I think the best decision I could have made coming from high school was to play D3 to start.
Listen, that's a very profound answer, and I think a lot of people, me included, it's hard to see that, right? Because it's sometimes you get a lot of things, in the way, and you get clouded, and it's hard to see that.
It was definitely like I didn't see it. I didn't see it my first time going to D3, right? I didn't see it, but now it takes a little bit more for you to see it and call it as it is. Because that's what's happening. The truth. But the thing is, it takes a lot for you to say going D3 is the best thing for me right now, because I knew that's my. Until October, my senior year, it was late before I was able to say, okay, I'm going to go to Gettysburg. For me, it was just about, this is where I want to play, and I was willing to do anything to get there. But inside me, I knew maybe going to D3 was the best option for me to start. But like, I wasn't willing to admit that to myself. So until I admitted that to myself, I didn't enjoy being here. Yeah. So like after my first couple of weeks was the first time I was able to admit that to myself, and that was when I was able to enjoy my time being here at Gettysburg. And now, like, the quicker I was able to admit that this is the best place I could be right now, the quicker it was for me to start improving. Like, you can't really change it until you really acknowledge what's going on. Because I didn't know, I knew what was going on, but I wasn't acknowledging it to myself. So I think the biggest lie for me was like, I was lying to myself that I wanted to be somewhere else right now, while I knew that where I am right now was the best place for me right now.
Yeah. So, obviously academic demands, athletic demands, were those hard to handle? And then also, in the past, now it's 6 years since you first came over, from Nigeria. How many times have you been home? Right, in 6 years, and then managing that, being away, having to manage your own time, and then that goes right into the academic and athletic demands, right? Because like you said, mom and dad aren't there to wake you up anymore. For
me, it was like, like the academic side, it was hard for me to balance it at first, because it was a lot. It was a lot more workload, but I had the background coming from masters. I had the background on the alto end and stuff. So for me, it was just about adjusting to a bigger workload and knowing, and like throughout the day, I don't have a set time where I do homework. I do my homework throughout the day in between everything. So, because I know by the time I'm done with everything I need to do with like campus job, also like I needed to do my homework in between, because by the time I'm done with those things, it's already late. I have to go to bed because I have to wake up in the morning again. So it was a lot about having to adjust with the workload and like kind of fit in your workload into the time that you have and not trying to cut off everything else just to do homework or cut off homework just to do soccer. It was just about doing it in between. I do homework in the locker room before practice, do homework on my way to games, on my way back from games while everyone else is falling asleep. I have a flashlight doing homework. So I think it's about just managing your time yourself, because no one's going to tell you to do homework. No one's going to tell you to not fall asleep on the bus. No one is not going to tell you to not take a nap during the day or like take a long, like a sleep during the day. So no one's going to tell you not to do that. It's up to you to do that for yourself.
Couple other things, those in the past 6 years, how many times have you been back to Nigeria? Like holidays, things like that? And is it hard to not be there when it's Christmas or, things like that?
No, I've only gone back 2 summers since I've been here.
Mm-hmm.
I went back 2 summers. So, I haven't spent Christmas or any of those holidays at home, but I spent it at home with my whole family every year. So, and I've also been able to get on the phone with my parents, FaceTime with my dad and my brothers. So I'm staying in touch, even though I'm not there every time. I'm always on the phone with them. So,
what was another good question here? What was the most difficult experience or time you had to overcome in the 6 years you've been here that you can remember or share?
I think the most difficult period for me was figuring out where to go to college, because not only was it hard for me to figure out where I wanted to be in terms of soccer. Coming from Nigeria, I had to pay attention to the financial part of it. Was one of the biggest things. So for me, the other thing was trying to find the best match for the academics, the sports, and the financials to match. So I think that was probably the most difficult time for me to figure out how I wanted to be. Like, it was almost the same as when I was trying to figure out, like, coming into the U.S. for the first time and also trying to like get settled in. It felt almost similar, because I felt like I wasn't the same as everyone. I had to understand that I wasn't the same as everyone. I couldn't just show up and be and like fit in. I need to put extra work. I couldn't just pick a college and say I'm going there. I needed to think about a lot more about how it's going to work out in general, like school, soccer, and financial part. So I needed to find that. So for me, I think the hardest thing was being able to find the best balance for those.
Yeah, and you're not alone. You're not alone. Mm-hmm. There's a question here from one of our younger players. He said, "How did Eastern FC contribute to you receiving a full scholarship to college?"
Like I said, like one of those videos, like you heard in one of those videos, I don't think I've done anything that had to do with soccer in the past 6 years that I've been here that I have not included Eastern FC. I don't, like, even when I'm on break from school, I would go back, practice with the team, even like indoors. And the first time I said I was gonna try to transfer from Gettysburg, I told Ray, and that was me going to the CrossFit session to go train with them and like talk to Ray. So like just with my development in general, like I wouldn't be here without Eastern, like back and forth. Even when I wasn't on the team, I was on the team in the sense that I could go to practices and just play with them. I could go to practices and just work out with them. So like Eastern has just been like a big part of like me developing and getting a scholarship to go to play in general. Yeah.
And then last couple here, favorite memory in Nigeria, favorite experience in the USA. That's, I think, from your host parent. And then the last question as well is here, did you ever consider joining the track team, I guess, in college as well during your off season, right?
Yeah.
So favorite experience in Nigeria, USA, and then did you consider joining a track team?
I think my favorite experience in Nigeria was when I was 11, my oldest brother his wife had a son, and my nephew shares the same birthday as me. So I think that was probably my favorite experience. It wasn't the ideal experience spending my 11th birthday at the hospital, but it was probably my favorite experience because now I have someone that is my nephew to me. I just think at home a lot. Just it's brought a lot of joy to me as a person, and like knowing that I have to live for this little kid. He's gonna turn 10 very soon. Like knowing that I had to live for that kid just was probably the best experience for me. Just always thinking about him, thinking about just talking to him on the phone also gets me a little emotional sometimes. But
that's great.
Yeah, it's probably the best that has happened being an injury was that kid getting born.
Oh, that's great stuff. Yeah. Did you ever consider running track college? Or
yes, I did, but at the same time, I was in a situation where I had my assistant coach here lived on campus, so my off season was either I did track or we had players that did track, like the captain on my team, my freshman year and sophomore year, Zeke. He's also in that picture. He holds the record for the 100 meters at the school now, even though he was recruited for soccer. Okay. So he's done track, and so there are people who did track. I had the option to do that also, but I decided I was gonna get better and like play off season with my assistant coach, one-on-one training with him, indoors in the gym. So I had to choose between doing track again or focusing on soccer. And for me, coming into college, I thought I had to focus on soccer, and that's what I did. So instead of doing track, which would have been fun, I decided I was going to stay with soccer and just do extra, and just because I know at that point not everyone in the conference or everyone on the team is doing the same thing I'm doing. So for me, it's just about getting that extra in, and for me, the extra was just being more like specific as to what I want. But definitely, I talk about doing track because it's just something I've always done. It's something that I thought was good for me being to stay really athletic, to stay quick. So doing track definitely was always on my mind.
Awesome. Last question that just came in late right now, and then we'll close this up. But if your life is so busy, it sounds like, right? How do you manage your stress levels?
I think the best thing for me is to take a pause. Like even if it's like a 2-minute pause between work, just to close my eyes. Like I like to sit down, like close my eyes and like just do nothing, because that kind of resets me a little bit. Just taking the quick second to whether get on the call with someone or just close your eyes, do nothing, and just, for me, I think zoning out sometimes is good, because for me, I know there's a lot going on, but I try to focus on one thing and just focus on it, even if it's a blank wall, just focus on it and close my eyes or just watch it while I like distress a little bit. I feel like that I must do that like 20 times a day, just taking 2 minutes off to just stare at something or close my eyes. I think that's just my own way of like, that's how it worked for me. So it was something I had to do to be able to keep up with everything I have to do. Like I started my freshman year, spring here at Gettysburg was when I started going to the spiritual center, a 10-minute meditation session every day at a specific time. So for me, I also decided I was going to do that 3 times a week. So nice. I do that Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. So that was my own way of like resetting and like going, like knowing that I have a lot, but picking the time out to take care of my own self and my mental, just sitting there, listening to just sounds, meditating with the group was just great. Just 3 times a week, 10 minutes was pretty much all I needed to be able to reset and be able to continue with the level of work that I have, and just in general. Yeah.
Listen, Dio, I'm not going to take more of your time. This has been really, really awesome. Ray, is there anything maybe you want to jump on and say before we move on? And
yes, I would. Again, Dio, thanks very much for taking the time on this day, for all the mothers in the club. And listen, the road that you took or you've taken from Nigeria to here, you have another road going down again, and there'll be a lot more roads going down. But again, you're focused, you're disciplined, and I think the young lads that are on the phone call now, that's what it takes to do that. Because other people are doing their thing, you do your own thing. You know, you set your mindset, you got your goals, you got your direction, you got a good attitude, and the road that you're going down is going to be tremendous. And don't forget, you got your family behind you, whether it's in Nigeria or it's in this country. You've always got a lot of people behind you. So we wish you all the best, buddy.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dio. I think thank you from everyone. A lot of thank yous are flying in right now, Dio, from Vince and from Chris Sheehan and a bunch of other people as well. Dio, thank you so much for everything. We appreciate it. This is recorded and will get put up on our YouTube page, and Dio, we can send it to your family as well.
Yeah.
And an example for good as well.
Yeah.
For sure.
Thank you. Thank you.
Dio, thanks so much.
Dio.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Bless, buddy.
Take care, buddy.
Bye.
All right, man. Thanks a lot.
Of course.
Get us up to Westchester.
Nah, I think I'm gonna stay. I'm gonna stay till I'm gonna wait.
Okay.
Yeah.
Be good, Dio. Take care.
Yeah.